All right. Good. You got Dennis straight down.
Yeah, he is.
I've known him a little while.
Yeah.
Who's chairman, you make it drive the floor.
It's probably my niece.
Hey, we've got some metal chairs out there for you.
There you go.
No, it's not.
Where we held it in
I know
the
you
floor,
did.
and then we
Yeah.
went back up here, they
But
put the
I
water
thought
in
these
the and all, but
were
this
just-
morning, we know ours is not that good.
But I can see it. It's a glare on. There's a glare.
Oh, that,
Fix the glare.
I can fix the glare.
Fix the air conditioner.
It's the air conditioner. They fix that. It's in the
It
dust.
says it's on.
Go ahead, use Johnson's control.
Maybe the next manager will find you somebody that knows what they're doing.
You retiring or
Hey, Miss Marcy, I don't want you to look too hard, don't look too hard. Today's a pretty Sunday.
Did that help? Yeah.
Okay.
We will bring our June 5th, 2023 meeting to order. We want to thank everyone that's come to be with us, and in a little while you'll hear our budget that we have done for 23 and 24. Mr. Young, will you lead us in our budget?
Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for this beautiful day. Dear Heavenly Father, for all the blessings of this life, which we know come from your bountiful hand. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for each individual here today. Ask you to bless them. Lord, and bless the homes that they represent. Be with us now, Lord, as a governing body, as a board. Help us, dear Heavenly Father, what we do to be in accordance to your will. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity that you've allowed each one of us to serve the people of Avery County. Be with us, lead us, guide us, and direct us. We thank you most of all for Jesus, for it's in his name we pray. Amen.
Let's all please stand, and Tim, would you please lead us in our pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Don't get excited if you see all of these papers, because that's what our meeting's about today. I'd like to read this for people that has signed up for public comments. The time limit for any comment to the board is 3 minutes. Board members are not expected to comment or take any action on matters during the public comment. Any individual speaking during public comment shall address the entire board. Any person who willfully interrupts, disturbs the session will be asked to leave the meeting. If you would like to speak to any agenda item, you must sign up on the sheet with the clerk. Time limit to speak to an agenda item is 3 minutes. Please silence all cell phones and electronics. Thank you. All right, we'll move right along with our agenda. 3.2A, proclamations and awards.
We do not have any, Madam Chairman.
All right. 3.2B, public comments. I believe we have 2 people that has signed up for our public comments. We'll ask Miss Winters if she'd please come to the podium. That'd be fine.
I have not been here before, I'm sure you
Just
can
at
help.
the microphone there, so
So they can hear
be
you.
sure to hear you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, thank you for letting me come and speak to you, and I am introducing myself to you. My name is Enoch Winters, and I'm the representative of the North Carolina County Legislators. And I'm reasonably sure that you are familiar with my organization because my forerunner was Miss Rachel Deal, and I'm pretty sure she's been visiting with you quite a few times during the past few years. So, I have become the delegate, and that means I took her position after she passed away sadly so last June. And I'm trying to do the same good job she did for the North Carolina County Legislators. And I brought you something, a little handout, which will catch you up over the last year since she's been here. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't bring one for you, and I will make up for it next time.
I'll get one of those.
Okay.
All right.
So. My reason for being here is mainly to get introduced to you all, and hopefully will come back as I gather a little bit more experience with my organization. I have been Rachel's alternate for many, many years, but she was so effective and efficient on her job that she didn't really let me do a whole lot. So, anyways, I'm trying to learn. And my main reason to be here today is to let you know that this is a special eve of a very special event for the North Carolina County Legislators. We will have tomorrow our 30th anniversary celebration. I will be going to Raleigh for that, and we will celebrate. And if there's reason to celebrate, the organization is a great gathering of people who are advocates for what we all, most of us are, elderly people in North Carolina. And we are trying to do our best to help people over 60 and above to have the presentation that they need, to get the help that they need, and not just them, but also the families that take care of them, and the families that they are involved with. So we will have a business meeting tomorrow after the celebration on Wednesday morning actually, and we will discuss several new things that we are working on. What I gave you on the handouts is basically a catch-up on what we have been doing this last year. So with this all said, I hope you all will be in your prayers with us tomorrow. 30 years is a long time, but it is not anywhere near long enough to be perfect on the job. We still have a lot of work to do, and we're aiming to do that. There is 100 counties in Avery, in North Carolina, and each county has 2 people that are coming to our meetings. There's a delegate and an alternate. So we are all work together, and it is really, believe you me, it's hard work to get all these things on the agenda that we are working on and that we are trying to do better on. So, okay? So I hope you will be with me in your prayers tomorrow with our group as well. And I hope you let me come back and let me tell you of what happened.
Well, you're welcome to come back anytime.
Thank you. I will.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Glenn Johnson.
Good afternoon, Board.
I appreciate you having me this afternoon, the opportunity to speak. What I'm here for is, I read with a great amount of interest in the May 17th Avery Journal, and a certain amount of trepidation also about the forgiveness of the remaining loan on the historic Banner Up School. I was a part of this. I was county commissioner from 08 until 2014. I was a part of making this steel deal. Now you might ask why I called it a steel deal, and I'm going to tell you. The current tax value of that property is $5,887,800, almost $6 million. In 2014, I'm going to round it off, it was 3.5 million. In 2011, it was 4.7 million. Now you notice a drop there, and if you'll remember, we had a very big drop in particularly the resort properties. We sold them this property, as you already know, for $1 million, 12 years to pay for it at 0% interest. Payments of some $83,000 a year. They paid that for 8 years. And it's my understanding they've been able to do that with no tax money expended. My question would be, made the payments for 8 years, why now? All of a sudden, you're asking forgiveness for a loan. I've never in my life asked forgiveness for a loan. And if you were to do this, what about the other towns in Avery County? What about Beach Mountain? What about Elk Park? What about Newland? What about Crossnorth? And other communities? Most voters in this county don't go to Banner Elk very often, if at all. If you go in any one of the restaurants over there, and I do occasionally, you seldom see anybody that you know. If you even go to Lowe's, you seldom see anybody you know. Now, some people do go to Lowe's, of course. Even if you go to McDonald's at Invershill, you seldom see anyone you know. So, and notice I said voters. Folks, I think this is a place you don't want to go, because people down on the river and other places would not be too happy, I don't believe, if you forgave this loan. So, I go over to Banner Elk, and I'm proud of how the Banner Elk School looks, because I was a part of that. We put a roof on it, we put windows in it. I personally did some work in that building, some pretty hard work. And I'm proud to see that it looks good. But this was a contract between two government entities. And, you know, you just don't back up on contracts. What I can't really believe is that we're having this conversation, much less giving it any consideration. So I would urge you to nip this in the bud and stop it before it gets out of hand, because I don't believe that the majority of voters in this county would be real happy with this situation. As I said, I believe Banner Elk has, it's my understanding, they've been able to make the payments without any tax money expended. Well, if they have to use tax money, they have the occupancy tax. I don't know how many dollars they're taking in with occupancy tax, but I know it's a lot. And I commend the board for seeking the occupancy tax for this county. We did that when I was on the board. We put it on the ballot, and it fell by a few votes. But now, I know you went to the legislature, and they're currently considering that as a county occupancy tax. This is a tax that none of us will pay. So, and am I running close on my time?
Yeah.
It was a topic of conversation that back in 2014 that, well, you gave the school at Beach Mountain to them. Well, we didn't give it to them, we leased it. And If it ceases to become a community center, then it would revert back to the county. So that's not even apples to oranges, that's apples to stones or something. They have no way of generating any income. Manor Elk does. So I would urge you to just cease conversation upon this subject. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else that wants to speak? All right. Is she signed up with you?
You don't have to sign up.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Anita Johnson, for those that may not know. I'm the chairman of the Avery County Historical Society, and I came today to thank the commissioners for helping us out with an emergency situation. The ramp to the depot was rotting away, and we have already entertained 2 school groups. And on June 15th, we're going to have 120 kids from the YMCA. And then we also have the Avery County Heritage Festival coming up June 24th, where we'll have lots of people coming to visit the facilities, you know, the museum itself. And I want to invite everyone to come to the Avery County Heritage Festival, because that day we're going to have men from the Over the Mountain Victory Trail who will be doing a history program. We will have family genealogists, of course, and then we'll have different musicians and other things that pertain to the history of our county. I know we'll have Bunyan Church at 2 o'clock, and everybody loves them. They won the National FFA competition. At 1 o'clock, we'll have the Toe River Boys. At 11:30 is when the reenactors will tell about the Over the Mountain Victory March that was made to Kings Mountain. And at 10 o'clock, we'll have the Avery Community Band that Dee Raby directs. And then the Avery Youth Jam, young people learning how to play traditional instruments. And then at 11:30, we'll have the reenactors. So please come and join us on Saturday, June 24th for the Avery County Heritage Festival. And thank you again for helping us out in that emergency situation. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else that wants to speak in public comment? If not, we'll move right along with our agenda. 3.2C, board appointments. 1, Morris Library Board, Amy Regional Board.
So, Board, Clayton Harpole has submitted his application for reappointment to the Morrison Library Board, and Ruth Shirley has submitted her application for appointment to the Morrison Library Board and the Avery Mitchell Yancey Regional Board. So, the action requested is to appoint Clayton Harpole to the Morrison Library Board and Ruth Shirley to the Morrison Library Board and the Amy Regional Board.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand. Did you have,
No, I was gonna say aye.
oh, I fooled you this time. I checked on them to see if they're asleep or anything. Keep them, you know, in good shape. All right. Number 2, our Social Service Board.
So there are 2 positions vacant for the Social Service Board, and there are 4 applicants that have been reviewed, and these have been reviewed. So we request that you all vote on those and appoint 2 more members to the Social Service Board.
Wait just a minute. These are not all at-large appointments. The seat that I hold is required by the statute to be a commissioner, correct?
No, I don't believe, I checked the statute, and there's not a requirement that a commissioner be seated on the board,
Really?
really. It is appointed by the commissioners, but it's not required that a commissioner be seated on the board.
Well,
Now, I think the county's always had a commissioner
and
on the board.
I think that it's very important that we continue to have a commissioner on the board. And I've served on that board since 2015, before I was a commissioner. And now Tim has showed interest wanting to serve on the board. And as the commissioner's appointment from the commissioners, I'd like for us to put Tim on that board. Because we've never gone through the voting process before. It's
I'm not sure there's ever been more people than positions who are interested.
well, I've been appointed every 3 years since 2015. But I served the first time as, because my understanding, the way it was always explained to me, the commissioners appoint one from their board, the commissioners appoint one from the community, the state appoints 2 members, and then those 4 choose the 5th member.
Well, the current version of the statute states that the commissioners just appoint the 2 seats. It's not a requirement that a commissioner be one of the appointees.
Well, the commissioner on that board has no more authority or no less authority than anyone else on the board. But I think it's imperative that we have a representative on that board. So if I may, I'd like to recommend or nominate or whatever, Tim to go on that board from our board. If I'm doing something wrong, call my hand on it. And I would like to remove my name from the list.
Well, I think if you do not wish to be considered for one of the seats, then that's up to you. And then, of course, since there are 2 seats, the commissioners can take nominations on either seat out of the list of people who have submitted applications.
We have
Yeah, and Sandy's got the ballots ready on that.
vote on.
So I think what the board has done traditionally in the past, whenever there's multiple seats, is they have a ballot, and the 2 top vote getters are the ones who are appointed.
But we've never done it for the DSS board, not for the commissioner's position. That's what I'm saying.
You mean had a ballot on it?
We have for the at-large member,
For the at-large?
yes, but never for the commissioner board.
The statute is silent on how to do that, so I think that the board would have some discretion if they wanted to have a commissioner and then for seat one, if you will, and do that, and then for seat 2, they could vote for that position by ballot if they wish.
Is that acceptable to everyone?
Well, I remember when I first come on the board, I was on that board, and so was Phyllis Forbes. And there was a discussion about 2 commissioners being on the board, so I stepped down because Phyllis had been on it longer than I had.
Well, Phyllis was the reason that I was on that board the first time.
But since we're gonna vote on it, I don't see that it.
So, I mean, what may be the easiest thing to do is for the commissioners to do it by the seat. So just say for seat 1, Mr. Young wants to make a nomination for Mr. Phillips for that seat, and then the board can vote on it. And then for seat 2, they can do the remaining by ballot, if that's what the board wants to do.
And another thing that I just want to say my piece. If I've got something to say, I'm going to say it. Debbie Gregg, who is nursing supervisor at the health department, has served on that board for some time. And she, with her position, she works very closely with the Toad River Health District and with DSS. Well, she's employed with the health district, but she works very closely. They've got a lot of programs that are intertwined, and she's able to help Raquel with some of the stuff that goes on at DSS, and likewise, Raquel helps her a lot with some of the stuff that she deals with at the health department. And also, health is a very large part of that as well. And I think it's imperative that she stays on that board, just me personally. Because like I said, I've been on that board since 2015 for 7.5 years. And I meet once a month. And in that 7.5 years, I've missed 4 meetings. It's imperative that you attend those meetings. And Deb misses very few. So I would like to recommend and make a motion to the board that for seat 1, we appoint Tim Phillips. Is that permissible?
I think that would be fine if that's how the board wants to handle both of the vacancies.
Cindy, do you have the ballots made up for us to mark the ballots like
I
we've
do.
always done before?
I do.
So if the board wanted to use the ballots for the 2 seats like you've done in the past, that you can do that as well. So since the board's used to doing that, that may be how the board would prefer to proceed.
You have a motion on the floor.
Yes, you have a motion.
Yes. So someone can second it?
Do I hear someone second that motion?
Tim, who's on the board? Yeah, I see.
All right, all in favor, raise your hand. All right. And we need a second.
No, we vote for this one off the ballots if you want to.
Proceed.
Or I'll make the motion either one, it doesn't matter.
Whatever the board wants to do.
Yeah, in the past, the board's used ballots whenever there've been multiple for a spot.
So I need to mark.
Yeah.
But remove me.
Okay.
So we're voting for 1 seat.
Golf score.
Yes.
Okay.
So your top choice on this. And these will be recorded in the minutes. They're open for public inspection, and please sign and date these. If you will recess us just a minute.
All right, we'll recess and Cindy and I will both count the vote.
Yeah, he's still in there.
Okay.
Did you do a 1 and a 2 on these? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, that was pretty well. You're good.
No, he
She's on vacation. Okay. Why aren't she? I think she's out. I bet you in Colorado. It's just vacation. So she out of all the commissioners meetings we could have sent to this budget. Yeah, I'm kind of in between you. I'm professional.
Okay, all right.
We will finish this.
Now wait on the next thing to roll around.
Just bring us back into the meeting.
All right.
Finish this part, and we got to do our public.
We're coming back in after a brief recess, and we have a public hearing at 4 o'clock. And I need a motion to close and open the public hearing.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. All right. Do I hear a motion that we go into our public hearing for the FY budget 2023 and 2024?
I think we just had that motion. Woody made that motion, and then
All right.
Robert seconded, so
Okay.
I think we're good with that. We're ready to
All
go.
right, we're ready to start, Phil.
And I apologize, but you got to listen to me for a few minutes, okay? But thank you. I'm going to, it's my pleasure to present the budget message to the commissioners and the citizens of Avery County. So in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 15911, the Avery County fiscal year 23-24 proposed budget is respectively submitted for your review and consideration during this public hearing. The budget provides the resources needed to ensure the delivery of government services in a fiscally responsible manner. The proposed budget is a continuation of financial sound and conservative practices Avery County government has established and embraced. This public hearing is held in order to inform the public and to allow any interested citizens the opportunity to express their opinion on the budget after the budget message is presented. The board held budget workshops in order to make changes to the proposed budget. This budget message represents an explanation of the budgetary decisions derived as a result of in-depth dialogue between the county manager, assistant county manager, finance officer, department heads, and changes made during the budget workshops. The cumulative total of necessary operational and capital expenses considered in light of revenues generated by the departments combined with state and federal funding determines the amount of funding which will be necessary from the citizens of Avery County. The 23-24 budget is, as presented, is balanced on a total property valuation of $6.014 billion. This represents an increase of $546 million, or 2.23% over last year's valuation of $5.883 billion. The general fund tax will decrease to 33.5 cents per $100 valuation, which will generate an estimated $19.8 million in revenue. The countywide fire tax will increase to 6.5 cents. The Fire Commission and volunteer fire departments will receive an estimated $3.79 million in revenue. The combination of these two tax rates will result in an overall tax rate of 40 cents per 100 for the 23-24 fiscal year. The rate remains to be a decrease from the revenue neutral tax rate and a 15-cent decrease from the 21-22 fiscal year. Current inflation and economic conditions make balancing the county's budget difficult. Overall expenses are projected to increase 14.63% from the 22-23 budget. In order to keep the tax rate at the current rate and balance the budget, it will be necessary to appropriate $2.62 million from the fund balance, as has been the practice during other times of economic uncertainty. Now we will go into the general fund and the expenses. The total general fund budget is set at $37.1 million. This is a 14% increase from the 22-23 fiscal year. General government is increasing $462,566. This increase is primarily attributed to an employee cost of living adjustment. The county continues to take a proactive approach with buildings, general maintenance, and capital service needs. Public safety is increasing $1,777,473. The increase is mainly due to employee retention through a pay grade modification and a cost of living adjustment. Capital expenditures for this year include vehicle rotation for the sheriff's office. Transportation is increasing $345,256. The increase is due to 3 new vehicles and the increased cost of fuel. Environmental protection is increasing $950,533 due primarily to the increase of tonnage now collected through the solid waste department and the cost of fuel. Economic and physical development is increasing $60,865. The increase is primarily due to operating expenses. The Economic Development Committee plans to host other employee retention seminars for businesses, advertise with the Chamber of Commerce, and attend training seminars and develop a survey for citizen input. These expenditures will not exceed $8,250. Funding for human services is increasing $456,417. The increase is primarily due to new methods for the state Medicaid programs. Cultural and recreation is increasing $78,986. The primary reason is for additional capital needs for the Parks and Rec Department, continued funding for the Mountain Alliance Youth Program, and continued funding for the Avery County Fair. Education is increasing $628,000. The primary reason is the operational cost increase for the Avery County school system. Public safety is the largest expenditure for the county, consuming 32% of the total budget. Education and the associated debt service is the next largest expenditure at 21%. Human services is the third largest at 17%, while all other county functions total 30%. Property tax revenue is projected to decrease $134,000 or 0.67% from the last fiscal year. The decrease is due to the commitment to all taxpayers to keep our tax rate below revenue neutral and the construction renovation of buildings needed for the county's fire departments. Local option sales taxes are projected to increase $1,756,796. Sales tax has rebounded from the expected decrease due to COVID-19, and we are now experiencing growth in our visitors' economy. Other taxes and licenses are projected to increase slightly due to projected slowdown in real estate sales. Intergovernment revenues are projected to increase $66,800, primarily due to the increased state and federal payments. Licenses and permits are projected to increase only $1,000 over last fiscal year. Sales and services are projected to increase $266,500, primarily due to increase in revenue in EMS and state funding for transportation. Investment earnings and other income are projected to increase $170,000 due to higher forecasted investment income. Property tax revenue will generate 53% of the county's revenue, followed by sales tax at 22%, intergovernmental transfers at 8%, sales and services at 7%, and fund balance appropriation at 7%. All others equal 3%. The fire tax fund budget for 23-24 fiscal year is $3.79 million, or $688,894 more than the last fiscal year. This increase is due to a commitment to buildings and facilities to the county fire departments. The 911 fund budget for the fiscal year 23-24 is $196,344. This is a decrease of $11,332 from the prior fiscal year. The revaluation fund is $129,165 for the fiscal year 23-24. Avery County budgets annually for the mandatory revaluation. It should be noted that the county performs an in-house revaluation using existing staff as opposed to contracting this service out. January 2026 will be our next effective date for revaluation. Avery County is proud to report that the county fund balance exceeds the state requirements. This amount provides great financial stability and coverage in the event of a catastrophic event which strikes the county. The county must have the financial resources available to address unknown and unexpected situations that could cripple our community if we were to be found unprepared. Over the past several years, Avery County has developed and adhered to a financial plan designed to promote a pay-as-you-go capital philosophy. As a result of the philosophy, the county has funded and completed the Agriculture Center, the Avery County Community Center, the County Recreation Pool, and the new classroom addition at Avery County High School, and the current new DSS building. As a result of proper capital planning, the use of lottery funds, and the use of some fund balance, Avery County has been able to avoid any tax increase for the construction of any of these capital projects. The only major capital project at this time is the DSS building, which started spring of 2023 and will be finished fall of 23. Estimated cost $2,586,433. With funding from the state budget grants, Avery County will be renovating and building an addition for a new DSS building and a much needed probation and parole office. Future proposed capital projects are an animal shelter and an additional development of the recreation property. The attached 23-24 fiscal year budget ordinance for Avery County contains the detailed breakdown in anticipated revenues and expenses for the year to end June 30th, 2024. This ordinance is respectively presented for adoption this the 5th day of June 2023.
You got a typo at the bottom of page 3.
Yes, we have a typo. The bottom of page 3, that should be 23-24 in the first sentence under revaluation fund. Sorry about that, board. But I read it correctly.
All right, do we have any comment?
If we don't adopt this, Phil can't go on vacation.
If no comments, we will go out of our public hearing back in.
I think, hang on just a minute, I don't think the audience understood that they can comment, so we might need to ask that if there's any public comments.
All right.
Commissioner Hicks, thank you. Rick Owen, resident 193 Maple Court in Banner Elk. And as a taxpayer and a voter of the county, I would like to thank y'all for the work that you do on the budget. I sat in on, I believe, all of the budget workshops y'all had. And I can say that y'all are thoughtful in your process and that y'all put a lot of time and effort and energy into the work that y'all do. So as a citizen, I appreciate the work that y'all have done. In my official capacity as the town manager of the town of Banner Elk, I would like to say that the request that the town made was not looking to be divisive and not looking to create more division in the county in Banner Elk. That was the least of the things that the town intended to do. And Mr. Johnson, of all people, was greatly instrumental in that, and we greatly appreciate the work that was done to see that Banner Elk had that. And our goal in asking was looking toward the future and what that was bringing to not just Banner Elk, but the whole county. And so we were making decisions not based on voters, but based on citizens. And citizens are taxpayers of the county. And I certainly hope that that's the way y'all look at the county also, is that there's lots of people that are contributing to the county that are not voters. And Banner Elk may represent a lot of those people unintentionally, simply by location. But I just want to be clear that there was no division of diversity that we were looking for. We appreciate the 2 commissioners that supported it, and we respect the 3 commissioners that did not. And we do appreciate the offer to extend those payments to lessen the burden of fundraising, as y'all well know, and all the nonprofits in the county that try to raise money. It's a difficult task, and that's a commitment that the town has made to our taxpayers. So thank y'all for the time in my official capacity, and then also as a taxpayer and a citizen voting of the county.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else that would like to speak on the budget that was read by our county manager? If not, do I hear a motion that we go out of our public hearing and go back into our regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand. All right. We'll go back in and finish what we was, voting on for the social.
The commissioners may want to speak about the budget since we've come out of the public hearing, and then we'll need to adopt the budget. Okay?
Are there any commissioner have anything to say?
I'd like to say I just appreciate Philip and Caleb and Cindy and the group that works on this budget. They do a wonderful job, and if it wasn't for them, because most of us are kind of novice at this, and these guys know what they're doing, and we just go through it with them, and they advise us, and I appreciate the effort they put into it.
Thank you.
I concur with that, and the budget that was presented to us was a very sound one, and it's not like we had to make a lot of adjustments to it, but we chose to go through it line by line because of the responsibility that's given to us to be sure of the expenditures and the budget and all the things that go on in the county. So our budget workshops and all the line by line and number by number was not an attempt to correct anything. It was merely to learn and understand more and be accountable for that which we present. And trust me, none of the folks on this board look at $37 million and not kind of blink once or twice. And all of us are very intent on treating these as real dollars. Sometimes whenever you're dealing with numbers like this, and it's not your checkbook that you're writing it out of, it tends to kind of take on monopoly money characteristics. It's just numbers. But many times during our conversations, it came back to, okay, the percentages of this, percentages of that, but the conversation came back to how about dollars? How about the actual money? Because that's the impact that's going to have upon the citizenry of the county, because that's where it comes from. You saw the percentages of the funding sources and property taxes and sales taxes, and luckily this year our investments are sound, but we try to be fiscally responsible, and fiscal responsibility does not mean necessarily that you don't spend, it's that you spend wisely, and that you have anticipated, and Caleb has been able to put together for us a capital management plan over the next few years to anticipate large expenditures, and we could not be prepared for them. So I hope everyone understands that we are presenting this with full awareness of the impact that it has upon the people in this county and all the ones who come in, and that we treat it with respect and dignity, and certainly try to take the responsibility for it.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd like to second and third what Tim and Dennis both said. They didn't leave a whole lot to be said.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. You said it well. But if you'll notice through the budget message, probably our largest single increase is in employees and their retention. And the reason for that is we have got here in the county the best employees of anywhere in western North Carolina. And we need to try to keep them. And we need to pay them enough to where they can go to the grocery store and buy groceries for their families. It's just what it comes down to. And we're very fortunate to have the employees that we have. And we as a board recognize that. And we think it's very important to retain our employees and not lose them to other counties. And that's the reason for our largest single increase is for our employees.
I agree with all.
Well, this made number 15 budget that I've worked in. And as you work on the budget, you want to do the best that you can for the citizens and for your employees. That's the main important thing. And two, I always kindly watch what we put in this year, because next year you're going to take this budget and do another budget with it next year. And so you better not overspend a whole lot, or then it'll pile all on you in the next year. And that's the things that I look at in a budget. But we're so thankful to have the employees that we have. They're what makes the county run, really, because whose job is it to come and pick you up if you call 911? The county employees. Who do you go when something is wrong with your taxes? You go to the tax office. So you see how important it is to try to keep your employees as long as you can. And we've had some to retire this year, and it's a task to do the budget, but you enjoy it in the long run because you are helping the county. And that's the way I feel about our budget. I think we've done good, and giving Caleb and Philip and Cindy and Ashley a lot of thank yous, because they spent a lot more time than we did in doing it. They brought it to us and we looked through theirs, and then some of it we added to, some we took from, and then we had all the other things that had been put down to do in the budget for this year. And but I want all of our employees to know how much we appreciate them. And I try and go around every once in a while and speak to them and tell them how much that we appreciate them and thankful for the good job that they do.
Okay, we need to
So I
adopt.
need a motion.
All right,
So
do we
Philip
have
can go
a,
on vacation tomorrow.
do we have a motion?
I make a motion, we adopt the
We're
budget.
going on vacation in the morning.
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand, real high.
Thank you, board.
All right,
Wait till the morning to leave now, don't leave now. What time is it?
well, we've got to go back,
To our social service board
yeah, to
appointment.
the social service. All right. Debbie Gray will be the second person that,
Well, yes, she will be the second person, but we need a motion to do that also. We need to go ahead and make a motion.
all right,
I move we accept the appointer.
Second.
all in favor, raise your hand. All right. Now we'll go back to 3.3, our
Sorry, Ms. Martha, 3.2C3,
Yeah, planning board.
planning board.
oh, you going back to do the
Yep, so,
board appointees?
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't
Okay,
get finished.
yeah, we didn't get finished.
all right,
So there are 2 positions open on the Avery County Planning Board, and these applications have been reviewed. So there are 2 positions and 2 applications, so is there a motion? It is Bradley Calhoun and Jason Grindstaff.
I make the motion.
Second.
all in favor, raise your hand. All right,
And then 3.2C4 is a board appointment for the Toe River Health District Board. There is an attached letter of resignation from Mr. Young. It is required that a commissioner be appointed to the Toe River Health District Board. And Mr. Burleson has announced his intention that he would gladly serve on the board in Mr. Young's place.
I'll gladly appoint him. But I'll gladly make the
I
motion.
don't really appreciate it.
I'll be glad to second.
All in favor for Mr. Burleson, raise your hand. We're breaking Robert in real good today and all this past budget thing. He's
I think we broke him in real good on the budget.
But I really enjoyed working with him, and he knows the care of money, don't you, Rob?
Yeah, I do.
'Cause he's in business for himself.
Okay, 3.2C5, we're just gonna keep going, making appointments today, okay? This is review, applications for the Maitland Board of Trustees and the Avery County Agriculture Advisory Board. So there is one application for review for the Maitland Board of Trustees, which is Miss Jeannie Harpole. Sorry about that. And there are 5 applications for review for the Avery County Agriculture Advisory Board, and there are 5 positions. So those are Larry Smith, Jack Wiseman Jr., Jim Phillips, Michelle Eggers Gardner, and Nick Boone. So those will be voted on at our next regular scheduled meeting.
And Mrs. Jeannie Harpole is the one for the Maitland Board of Trustees. I'm
Yes.
overlooked Miss Jeannie. All right. 3.3, Andrea Turberville, our tax administrator's report.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the budget. We appreciate that as an employee and as a taxpayer. I really do appreciate it. Would you please approve our collections report at $95,155.62?
I hear a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand.
And just a little side note, our collection percentage is at 98% right now, currently. Next is our releases. And I included a memo in your packet about a release that I did. It's a piece of property that we could not map, we could not identify. I dug through all the records in the basement, sent stuff to our mapper, sat down with everybody in the office, and we all sat and looked at it. It's our conclusion is that it's in the road right of way because the last survey that we could find on it was 1946. So most likely 19E is covering this piece of property. We keep sending tax bills to a deceased person. They keep coming back in the mail. It's costing us more money to keep sending this and keep doing this and keeping it on the books than it is to go ahead and just release it and wipe that piece of property out. So that being said, with that release and then another one that I had on my list.
Go ahead
Oh, I'm sorry. With that release and the other ones I had on my list, would you please approve my $1,109.18 in releases?
Do I hear a motion that we approve the release?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand.
And yes, I worked on this myself, so thank you, Andrew, for.
So I guess those letters go into dead letter file, don't they?
Yeah, literally, yeah. Yeah, those are cracking up
Yeah,
on me.
these people don't pay.
Then the last thing I had is my monthly sales report. We're at 71 sales this May. There were 68 sales last May, so we increased them. We're at 68%. And you can kind of see with the tax cards that I included, things are still selling above tax value. And that's,
Now that, land hoppers, I'm sorry,
I know, yeah,
that, cause it's mainly a porch.
yeah. There's a lot of those
You've got a
that,
porch.
that I mean, that was my neighborhood. I did that during reval. And I raised those values a lot. And there's a whole Facebook page about it. And they're still selling through the roof. And we're doing what we can, but, oh, and I have my first official certified new appraiser. Got all her income, all of her, classes in, so I sent all her stuff into the Department of Revenue, and that's Alyssa Carter. So she's ready to go. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, 3.4A, County Manager's Report, Mr. Philip Barrier, Jr.
Well, let's talk about broadband first. The Great Grant contract has been signed with Charter Communications, which feels good. $2,646,740 is the total of the grant, and the county's portion of that from our American Rescue Plan is $198,505. So commissioners, I commend you for wanting to do the right thing with the American Rescue Plan money. You all know what other counties have done, but we are making a difference in people's lives by putting it all toward broadband, so I appreciate that. So the long process of going through all the paperwork and the waiting has paid off, because if you can take less than $200,000 and turn it into $2,646,000, that will help 222 households with better internet, we've done something, okay? The next part will be our, the CAB grant. They did have a public comment period on the paperwork. I forwarded that paperwork to a lot of our providers in the county. No one had a problem with the paperwork. I briefly read the paperwork and kind of scanned it. That was over on May 23rd, that time for public comment, so I expect to start seeing the application process on the completing access to broadband grant, which stands for CAB, here in the near future. So, to the citizens that don't have good internet, we're getting there. I'm sorry that I can't tell you what 222 households are going to be served with that first grant, and I'm sorry to say that they have until 2026 to implement it. But that's where we're at. It takes time to pull fiber and cable and the needed infrastructure to your home. So, and it is costly. Any questions on broadband from any of the commissioners? Blake always laughed at me when I put general updates, because he says, oh boy, because this is going to be a long list. So it's not horrible. High Country Council of Governments got permission from the state to do a 7-county system on digital implementation plans. So we feel like we're going to be stronger together as 7 counties instead of individually. So I want to commend High Country Council of Governments for their help again. We would not be the county we are without High Country Council of Governments. So to Julie and her staff, Dennis, make sure you tell them, we thank them. Some of us attended county advocacy days in Raleigh last week. We expressed our opinion on the room tax, on occupancy tax, and some other things. I think we were heard and well received. We dropped some cards by and made some other contacts. So this board and government is doing what we can for Raleigh.
If I may interject there, we spoke with a number of senators and representatives. Our bill to implement that is currently through the House of Representatives and sitting in the Senate side, awaiting committee approval to going to the floor. There's not been a occupancy tax bill passed in 6 years for new implementation in the county. A lot of that is due to a log jam, and I know this is going to surprise some of y'all, between the two houses. So a difference in ratios and implementation. I have personally been in touch with Senator Berger, who's Senate Pro Tem, Representative Tim Moore, who's Speaker of the House, and many other senators trying to move this forward. If anyone would like to take a moment out of your time and send an email to any of the senators that you may have contact with, of course Ralph Hayes is in our area, is very devoted to moving this forward, but the reluctance to come to an agreement on the two methodologies is proving to be a real obstacle. So if anybody that you could address at the legislature that you might have contact with, or if you just want to drop a note to either the Speaker or the Senate Pro Tem, just to say we need this fixed. So the more the merrier, and we appreciate it.
Great, thank you, Dennis. Our DSS building, construction is going great. Last week was unbelievable what they did in 4 days. It was a 4-day week, and they made a difference. So if you have an opportunity to drive by, please do. Project is on timeline, on schedule. We will have a few hiccups. We've got a few change orders that are going to be coming from the last construction meeting, and I will keep you and everyone up to date on those as I receive them. A couple of things in your information items that I just want to point out. I want to thank WWAMI for their help with housing. Housing is a big issue. There's some information in there. We celebrated the month of May EMS week, so if you see some of those employees, please pat them on the back for what they do. Anita mentioned the Heritage Festival. Don't forget that. That's the 24th on the square from 9 to 3. Our second annual Summerfest that is for the chamber up at the Ag Center is the 10th and the 11th, but 2 days from 9 to 5. So I hope that's as well attended as it was last year. Senior Center across the street over here, compliance on the Older Americans Act, they found no faults. Maryland Community College is having a workforce workshop on June 13th from 11:30 to 1 at the Sam Center. You have a veteran service report from Tara Daniels, our Veterans Administrator, doing a wonderful job. And there was one more, but I forgot it and I didn't write it down. So I'll think of it and call you. That's my report, Madam Chairman.
All right. A lot of things that's taking place. 3.4, our finance officer's report, Caleb Hogan.
Good afternoon, Board. I have a few items for consideration, a couple amendments, and some policies. Item number 1, the Department of Agricultural Extension has closed their bank account monitored by NC State University, requested the county now hold the funds and handle all deposits and disbursements. This amendment is to recognize additional revenue received since the last amendment. Request the board adopt the following budget amendment: to debit ag program supplies $11,143.50, and to credit ag extension revenue $11,143.50.
Do I hear a motion to adopt?
Move to adopt.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Thank you, Board.
Now, just one clarification.
Yes.
From this point forward, this will be handled internally and will not have to cover recurring amendment coming out like this, correct?
The way we've been doing it, and we can look at a different way to handle it, as they get revenue in, they can't spend that revenue unless it's recognized. And we do that through a budget amendment. If the board so chose, we could do an appropriation in a budget year, and if they exceed that appropriation, then we would have to do a budget amendment to it. Right now, we're just doing it as they receive it.
Okay.
So they only spend what they receive, essentially.
Okay.
And so it requires semi-annual budget amendments so they can spend that money as they receive it.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Item number 2, the Avery County Museum is requesting funding to perform emergency repairs to the railing and ramp leading to the train depot. Request the board to approve the following budget amendment: to debit museum $19,000 and to credit fund balance appropriated $19,000.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Thank you, board. The next are some resolutions. These are ones that, thankful, as Philip said, to the High Country Council of Governments has helped with these resolutions. These are some requirements for the use of federal funds that we received through the American Rescue Plan, some policies that the Uniform Guidance wants us to have in place as we expend those funds. Corey Osborne and Sarah from the COG has been great help with this, and Ms. Michelle has looked over these. They're fairly boilerplate language materials. Item number 3 is a policy for allowable costs and cost principles for expenditure of American Rescue Plan Act, coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds by Avery County. I'd like to ask if the board would approve to adopt this policy.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand.
Okay, and just to clarify, Caleb had asked for that one policy to be adopted, and I think actually what we need to do is to have all of the policies adopted.
Yeah, and I was gonna go through each one of them.
Yeah.
That's just what the first one was the allowable use policy. The second one is the conflict of interest.
Okay, just make sure,
Yeah.
just make sure
Yeah,
that you're gonna get them all.
Item number 4 is the conflict of interest policy, applicable to contracts and subawards of Avery County supported by federal financial assistance. I'd like to ask the board to adopt this policy.
In reading through this policy, that pretty much is anybody you've ever known, seen, or passed on the road.
Yeah, it's pretty comprehensive.
I mean, I've read some disclosure statements, but that one was
Yeah.
pretty far down the road.
Exactly.
And there's no break on the degree of relationship
Yeah.
between parties, so it'd be your 30th cousin or something.
That's what I'm.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know, a lot of them have some kind of delineation there, but this was, if you've ever known anybody.
Yeah.
But I moved to approve.
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand.
Sorry, right hand ain't going to happen.
Maybe this time next year.
Wait a minute. All right.
Item number 5 is eligible project policy for the expenditure of American Rescue Plan Act 2021 coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds by Avery County. Ask the board to approve this policy.
Move to approve.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We've got some handicap.
Nod or something, blink twice.
Item number 6 is a policy. It's a non-discrimination policy which will apply to the operations of any program, activity, or facility that is supported in whole or in part by expenditures CSLFRF related. Request the board to adopt this policy.
Do I hear a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, and the last policy I have for you is record retention policy. This is item number 7, and it is a record retention policy for documents created or maintained pursuant to the ARP CSLFRF award. Ask the board to adopt this policy.
Do I hear a motion to adopt?
Move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, and that's all I have for you. Unless you have any questions for me.
At least he didn't charge the cost of any of our money.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb. All right, we'll move right along to 3.4C, our county attorney report. Michelle, did you have anything?
I do not have anything that requires the board's approval today.
All right. 3.5, staff reports and requests.
We don't have any, Madam Chairman.
All right, 3.6, do we have anything for closed session? All right, no closed session. All right, 3.7, approval of the minutes for May the 1st, 2023, regular session. You've had time to read the minutes. Does anybody have any questions or anything about the minutes?
Move they be approved as presented.
All right,
Second.
all in favor say aye. Aye. All right, we've had our agenda consent items before us and been able to look over. Does anybody have any questions or anything about the agenda consent items? If not, they'll be adopted by consent. All right, I think Philip's pretty well covered the informational items. And 3.10, upcoming meetings. Our next meeting, will it be the 19th, Cindy?
Yes, it will.
All right, and if we don't have anything to bring up, we'll let you know if that's canceled or not.
We will, cause we gotta do some cleanup.
Okay, all right,
Clean up stuff on the budget.
okay,
A few budget amendments and things that we'll have to do. So we will have that meeting. Yes,
On the current, but on
on the current.
the 22, 23.
Yeah.
all right.
Amendment, budget amendments this year.
Has any of the commissioners got any comments or anything left to say about the meeting today? If not, do I hear a motion that we adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor? We'll go home.
Very good.
Thank you.
I mean, can I have one of y'all?